In about 16 days, California is finally going to be issuing the licenses to be able to sell recreational marijuana, and it does look like a lot of people are interested in that. The searches have gone up for it quite significantly, so more people are looking into this. And we have gotten a lot more news on how everything is going to be looking. So the tax system and the licensing system is a lot more clear now. So people are searching this up, and I think that when it actually does come out, when licenses start rolling out and when the major news networks are going to be covering this, a lot more people are going to be looking into it, and because of that, there's going to be a decent amount of investing opportunities to capitalize on. But I'll get into that in just a little bit. So in this video, I'm mainly going to be talking about the regulations, the taxes, and the licensing, and I'm going to finish off with investing. Some of the investing opportunities that you could have. The investing opportunities in California are going to be fairly limited, and they're going to be pretty risky, but there are some that you could probably capitalize on. So the LA Times released a pretty good article today talking about some of the government regulations that are going to be taking place, and this article mainly talks about the licensing. So the licenses are going to be getting released in about 16 days and at the start of 2018, and you're going to be able to get a temporary license, which is going to be easier to get and it's going to be less expensive, and then after a while people will actually have to start getting actual licenses to be able to sell marijuana. Now if you want to get a license, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get the permission of the city or the county that you live in, and right now, it looks like a lot of cities and counties are not particularly warmed up to issuing licenses for marijuana sales. So this is pretty bad for a lot of the businesses because it does mean that the consumer, the amount of people that are going to be available for business people to try to sell marijuana to is going to be fairly limited. A lot of cities seem to be taking a very conservative approach to this, in the sense that they want to see how other cities do with it, and they want to see how much tax money is made, and then maybe they'll consider at like somewhere down the line in 2018 if they want to start releasing the licenses. So it does seem like it's going to be a fairly difficult. It's going to be fairly difficult for a lot of companies to be able to get licenses, and it's going to be straight up impossible in some cities because they don't want to give them out quite yet. And there's probably going to be a lot of red tape, there's going to be a lot of bureaucracy, and it's going to be fairly annoying and fairly slow before licenses are readily available in most cities in California. So this is going to take a little while. There are some requirements. You need a background check, there's a $1,000 application fee, there's probably some other fees and stuff like that. So that's that. But yeah, the fact that cities don't really want to give out licenses is not that good for a lot of these companies. But I think that over time they will warm up to it. So we'll see. I think that as cities start to give out licenses, and as some cities will start to look at other cities that have given out licenses and see that no, the cities have not burned down and no, nothing horrible is happening, I think that more cities will start giving out licenses over time. In terms of the licenses themselves, the licenses are not going to be limited per company. So for quite a while it did look like there was going to be size limitations on how big a company could actually make its farm, but it doesn't seem like that's the case anymore. Medium-sized growers are going to be having limitations on their licenses, but you are going to be able to get more than one small and large-scale license, which is good because it means that companies can expand indefinitely if they choose so. Now, this article right here that talks about this, it talks about it in a fairly negative perspective, but the reality is that if a company is able to produce a product and offer it to consumers for a lower price than everybody else, that company should have the opportunity to be able to expand and make more of its product. And this article talks about it in a very negative way. And by the way, whenever you see the term mom and pop stores, like this article says big business, and then for the term small business, it uses the term mom and pop stores. Whenever you see this term, it is generally used to push an agenda. People don't like big businesses in California for some reason, but big businesses are fine as long as governments don't regulate. Well, as long as governments don't bail them out or put unfair regulations on them. The only time that big businesses actually drive out competition, which is the case that this article makes for it. This article, by the way, is completely wrong on the fact that big companies drive out competition. But what did I want to say? Big companies don't drive out competition. Big companies are able to outcompete smaller companies, or as this article puts it, mom and pop stores, because they're able to offer lower prices. The reason why Walmart is so dominant is not because Walmart drives out smaller competition, but it's because consumers choose to shop at Walmart rather than smaller stores. Walmart offers them lower prices, and consumers, not the company itself, but consumers drive out the smaller stores out of business because consumers don't want to shop at the smaller stores at which they have to pay more money. So as long as companies don't get bailed out, like whenever big companies get bailed out or whenever they get massive subsidies, that's what actually limits competition. But if companies don't get any sort of assistance from governments and everybody is in a fair playing field in terms of competition and not getting just free money, then the licenses are good. So the fact that companies are going to be able to get more than one license is very good, and it's going to make the publicly traded companies actually viable to invest in, because they're going to be able to expand as much as they want, which is good. And lastly, the taxes. So the taxes, it seems like California is going to have a pretty high tax rate on marijuana. So a lot of the cities are looking at trying to put a fairly high tax rate on marijuana, and that's not a good thing because that's going to keep the black market fairly safe. So the black market is not going to be driven out of business because like some cities are going to have an up to 45% tax rate, which is ridiculous. And I think that after the bureaucracy, after all the licensing fees that you're going to have to get, after all the regulations, I think that it might be even higher than that. So the black market is going to have a significant advantage in California over legitimate companies in terms of its pricing, and hopefully they lower the taxes over time, because a 45% tax rate, it's not going to be a very good thing for companies. Now, people will still buy marijuana at a 45% tax rate because people do have money, and it's probably going to be more convenient to buy it at a 45% tax rate than get it off the black market. But a lot of people, the 45% tax rate does matter to a lot of people. And if you're going to have massive price disparities between the black market and the legitimate market, that's not a good thing. So the taxes might be an issue, but it's a little bit too early to tell. We're not exactly sure. Well, nobody's really exactly sure how people are going to react to this and how the black market is going to deal with the 45% tax rate. There's a chance that the black market will just overwhelmingly continue to exist because the taxes will be too high. But we'll see. I do like Canada's approach to this much better. So Canada is going to have a much lower tax than California, it seems, which is Canada has it at about $1 per gram, or about 10%. And if they're going to be having it at 10%, then that's much better than 45%. So hopefully California and hopefully some of the cities will eventually lower its taxes, but we'll see. It takes a little bit of time for this sort of thing to develop. And by the way, because it's going to take time for all of this to develop, for the revenues to start pouring in, going long on a lot of these companies is going to be a little bit more trickier because it's going to take longer for them to start making profits and perhaps getting the licenses that they need. So keep that into consideration. However, if you're going to try to play these companies in the short term, there is profit to be made. Now, if you're going to be playing these companies in the short term, what you should probably be looking for is the idea behind the company being very successful. So this company right here, American Cannabis Company, is a company that it's a consultant company that basically assists other people in starting up a company. So if you want to start a marijuana company, this company will help you in getting your licensing, getting everything set up, and in return, you're going to pay them money, but you could also pay them by giving them a share of your company. And because this company takes shares of other companies, it has a lot of potential to be able to be very successful. Now, will it be very successful? I don't know. But as the news hits, as the news comes out and people start looking at these companies, they're going to be looking at the idea behind the company. And the idea behind this company is quite interesting because it does have a lot of potential. So this company went up about 1,500% in the 2016 election after marijuana got legalized in California, recreational marijuana. And it's going up again recently, a decent amount after. It did drop a lot, by the way, but it dropped a lot. But basically, what you want is you want to get a little bit of gains and get out. But if you're looking to play something like this, and if you're looking to play on the hype behind the idea, as people start looking at these companies, some people will throw around the money. People will have Christmas money, New Year's money, all of that stuff. So likely this company will go up even more. But if you are looking to make a little bit of money in the short term by playing some of these companies, day trading in a way, buy some of the stock, get a timeline. So for example, maybe you wanted to buy the stock right now and sell it no later than January 10th. If that was the case, you would buy some of this right now. You would put a stop loss at about 30%, expect to be able to lose about 30 or 40% of these companies. But put a stop loss at about 30% and then watch this company as it continues to go up or down and sell it by January 10th or sooner. So you don't want to hold these in the long term. You definitely don't want to get caught holding these for a very long time. So if these start dropping all of a sudden because cities are not willing to release licenses or something, you don't want to get stuck holding these companies. So be careful with that. Some other companies that you could probably invest in are companies that don't deal directly with marijuana but provide things required for marijuana. So Kush Bottles is one that I've done a decent amount of research on. And this is a company that provides the packaging that's required for marijuana. So they have pop bottles, glass jars, whatever you may need, they have it. They have custom packaging and all of that. And the prices that this company offers are actually really, really competitive. I've taken a look at their prices, not all of their prices, but particularly the pop bottles and the glass jars and some of the other ones I've taken a look at as well. But their prices are really competitive and they have the lowest prices that I could find. So that's really, really good. So you might want to take a look at this company. This company definitely does have a lot of potential. And the good thing about this company is the tax rates and whether or not the cities are willing to actually release the marijuana, whether or not the city is actually willing to release the licenses to grow marijuana doesn't really matter that much for this company because this company does benefit from the black market. So the black market, people will still need packaging even if they're selling in the black market, and this company provides it. So they're going to be benefiting regardless. And this is something that you could probably go long in this company, although it is still fairly risky. It is fairly expensive as well, but this is one of those companies that you could probably play on and it should be fine. And by the way, this company, good pricing, but I don't understand why they don't sell on Amazon and eBay. I've actually contacted them and asked them if I could create listings for their items on Amazon and eBay for them, but they never replied. I think partially because they're a company that's focused on marijuana. Amazon and eBay doesn't really want anything to do with that, so they're not allowing this company to post their stuff on Amazon and eBay. But if you could actually post their stuff on Amazon and eBay, it is cheaper than everything else that's being offered on there. So their pricing is good, except they only sell in bulk. So I think this company is a decent one. But anyways, hopefully that helped. Hopefully it gave you an insight. Let me know if you have any questions. And that's it.